we're now going to mess around with the Mr. Hobby, what is it, the Mr. Metal colours, right? These are really cool sort of natural metal finishes. They are buffable, so it's not something I kind of recommend you kind of do an entire model natural metal finish, right? These are really, really good for those little things to really like exhaust, engines, that kind of stuff. Really, really, really nice effect that you get from them. So let's start off with, I've got a couple of colors here. I'm going to show you kind of two ways that we can apply this. So I'm going to actually start off with the aluminium, right? And we're just going to do our little nose cone at the front. We've even got propellers, but I'm going to do the propellers, what is it, the stainless steel, right? So going to get started with this. So let's just open this up, right? And you'll see give it a nice good shake to make sure you get all the sediment off the bottom. With your airbrush, you want the air pressure down at least no more than like 15%. We're talking lacquer based paints here, so we're talking extract fans, all that kind of stuff. And I do like, before I start using it, I mean, you might have a separate airbrush maybe for things like lacquers, but I like to just put a little bit of lacquer thinners in my airbrush, even though this airbrush is clean, just to gurgle it all up, because I've been using, you know, just acrylic based paints, and I want the airbrush to start thinking, shall we say, lacquer based paint. So give that little bit of a blast through, then we'll pour some in. This stuff is really thin and it just seems to go everywhere. You could use pipettes if you want, but I don't like cleaning out pipettes. So a nice bit in there, we don't need loads. Right, put the lid back on because this stuff evaporates like mad, right? And we can plain and simply now just put a nice light coat on this and build up the coats, and we shouldn't have to take that long. Now you'll also notice I have just put some black paint on this just to prime it, right? Because you know what, when it comes to natural metal finishes, what your primer is really does affect the end result, right? And I've just gone for black with this one, and as you can see, it covers really quickly, really, really well, dries really, really quickly, right? But what you might sort of see is, okay, I mean, it's not so natural metal finishy, but the cool thing about buffable paints, which you'll see in a bit, it really does kind of nicely shine up. So while that's quickly drying, I'm now going to do a quick color change. Well, actually no, I've got this bit here as well. I can just quickly spray this up as well. Doing a quick color change, right? We don't need to go too mental, right? A nice bit of lacquer based paints, lacquer based thinners. I'm just using Mr. Colour self-leveling thinners, no big deal in all honesty, and just pour a little bit in there. Come on out, there we go. Right, pour a nice bit in there. Again, usual sort of like, let's do a bit of a gurgle. One thing is about these paints as well, yes, they are expensive, they are not cheap. They're around about, I think, £4.70 or something a pot, right? But the results are really, really nice with them. They last an okay amount of time, right? As long as you kind of don't waste them, like I've kind of just had to waste a little bit there. So quick color change. Now I'm going to come in with this color. I do find this is my favorite color with the light, is dark iron. Dark iron's really, really cool, which you're going to see in a bit, because the effect you get from it is amazing, right? Things like engines, right? This color is really, really good. It kind of literally not only sprays your model, but it also weathers your model as well, all in one go. So I'm just pouring in a nice bit in there as well. It does always get down the colour cup, so I'm just cleaning that up as well. Get the pot on because it evaporates like mad. Right, and here is our engine for the Zero. As you can see, really quite nicely detailed engine just there. So I'm going to again just sort of come in. Let's move you out a bit. I'm going to come in. I'm just going to start just lightly spraying on this. Now we do have all sorts of, you know, corners and loads of detail in this, so we've got to kind of come in from a lot of different angles. So just kind of make sure you get it all, but not to sort of like build paint up in certain areas. Right, and again, this is really, really smelly stuff, so you don't really want to be breathing this in. Again, face mask, extract fans, and all that good stuff. Right, now I'll continue spraying this off camera, but you'll see that actually, you know what, that is just looking really dirty, not very natural metal finishy. It looks quite dusty as well, but that is the beauty of this when I'll show you the next bit, which is what makes these so good. So I'll finish spraying these off and give them a little bit of time to dry, and I'll show you the next stage. With just a nice bit of drying time, maybe 20 minutes or something, right, we've now got our piece just here. And what we're going to do is simply buff it off. I mean, it's the names in the whole kind of paint here is a buffable paint. And what we do is simply give this a bit of a buff, right? You want to start off lightly, right, because you don't want to kind of rub at this and realize, oh, I didn't give it enough drying time and it starts smudging off. But they are very durable, and I've never really had that. But yeah, you start off sort of nice and light, right, and then you can start giving it a bit of welly, kind of giving it more of a polish, right. And what the cool thing is about these is the degree that you polish them to can really sort of get shinier, right? So the more you polish, the shinier it can get, and hopefully, as you can see, the more natural metal finish these start to get, right? So the more you polish it, the more shiny it gets. So it is a little bit of experience to maybe sort of be able to go off and, you know, just know when to stop polishing, right? But you can really shine them up. The next cool thing, that's kind of like just like flat kind of stuff, nice natural metal finish, whereas things like engines, this is where you've got bags of detail. With these kind of colors, as you can see, it looks just black and dusty, but if we now come in and just lightly start rubbing at this, right, it's almost as if you're wiping away this dust and revealing a natural metal finish on the underside. So I'm starting again lightly, and as we just nicely polish at this, right, hopefully what you'll start to see already is the natural metal finish, the dust is kind of like coming off it, and the natural metal finish is starting to be kind of put on there. And because you can't sort of wipe away what's in the details, right, we end up with the black sort of dustiness in all those recessed areas, and thus it ends up weathering it at the same time. I mean, we could literally just buff this off and not have to touch this engine at all. Now with these, I don't like to buff them a lot. I don't like the natural metal finish to really sort of start shining through, so I kind of just try and just touch it a bit, right, because I don't want it to be like really dark and dusty and weathered on the insides, and then really sort of polished and high gloss sort of finish on the raised area. So I like to just dust it lightly. To get into all the little nooks and crannies, you can sort of come in with things like cotton wool buds, right, so you can just get in there and sort of try and sort of maybe give these areas a buff, maybe sort of pinch our cotton wool bud here just so as we can get into those areas a bit, but hopefully we won't have like too many hairs go on there, right, and hopefully, as you can see, you can get into those harder to reach places, right. So that is the beauty of these natural metal finish paints, these buffable paints, is you can get results like that. And I'll do the rest off camera. So yeah, and they're great for exhaust as well, absolutely cracking for that kind of thing. They are a bit expensive, but for what they do, I think they are pretty sort of amazing paint. Highly recommend them. And for the Zero here, it's a nice little touch to it all, and it's quick, it's easy. Yeah, big thumbs up.